You have a huge, big magic wand, and that
I'm
wand.
I'm glad you think it's a magic wand.
It is a magic wand. It is a magic wand, but it's real. It's substantive.
But it is a wand.
It's a wand. I mean, we're talking about billions of dollars that are approved to make this war keep on going.
EU's foreign policy chief Borrell, for example, said U.S. should consider cutting aid to Israel, and we know that there is growing frustration with Netanyahu's government. Is that at all a possibility that the administration is considering if, it would not have any success in the coming days in terms of moving Israel?
So let me say a few things about that. The most important of which is that we have pursued the policy that we think gives us the maximum ability to be successful in influencing how Israel conducts its military campaign. And how
are you happy with the results?
In many cases, no, absolutely we are not. We are happy with the fact that we have been able to get humanitarian assistance into Israel. That is the direct result of into Gaza. That is the direct result of U.S. intervention. But at the same time, there has not been enough humanitarian assistance that has gotten in. We are happy with some of the deconfliction measures that Israel has put in place at our specific urging, at the request of the Secretary and others in the administration. Those deconfliction measures have not been as successful as we would like them to be. We are happy that over the past month, we have seen civilian casualties come down from the incredibly high rates that they were. They are still alarmingly high. They are still way too high. So in all of this, it's a process where we engage with the Israeli government, look to use every bit of expertise that we have to communicate to them the steps that we ought to take. And we use all of the levers at our disposal to influence them to the best of our ability, and that'll continue to be an ongoing process.
So you're still ruling out cutting of any aid?
I am not ruling anything out. I'm saying we have not made the assessment that is a decision, or that is a step that would be more impactful than the steps that we have already taken. And at the same time, you have to look at the fact that such a step would be received by Israel's opponents, both inside Gaza and outside of the state of Israel.
So, Matt, can you just say what levers have you used?
So we have used diplomatic levers. The Secretary has...
That means the Secretary and the President and you and Kirby and whoever else standing up and saying, wagging your finger and saying that that's not really leverage.
We have engaged with them on at a multitude of levels at this administration. And as you look at the list that we just went through with Humera, we have seen them take steps at our urging that have had real tangible impact, but they have not been enough.
But what levers have you actually used?
I think that when the United States of America stands up and says something publicly, it matters.
But you haven't. That's a lever, but you haven't said that there would be any consequences.
To my point, we have seen
in terms of money or military assistance, right?
But we have seen, because of the policies we have pursued, we have seen improvements along these specific areas. We have seen tangible improvements. Again,
okay, but
not
I'm
the
just
level
asking you what leverage have you used? What leverage have you brought to bear?
I just went through it.
What have you gone?
I think the words of the President of the United States, the words of the Secretary of State matter, and we have seen. Hold on, we have
over
seen,
the top,
and we have seen
leverage,
and we have seen the government of Israel respond to it. Not always in the way that we want, not always to the degree that we want or to the level that we want, but our interventions, we believe, have had an impact, and we will continue to pursue them because we believe they do.
I'm not trying to take a position on what you have done so far is adequate or inadequate, but you seem to be taking the position that what you have done so far is inadequate, because while you say you have seen some results from the quote unquote pressure that you have applied, they're not enough, and that the situation is still not good and not and not acceptable to you. Is that a fair assessment of what you said?
I will say, I think that sometimes people pretend that the the United States of America has a magic wand that it can wave to make any situation in the world roll out in exactly the way that we would want it to, and that is never the case.
Okay, well, I would just.
We use
I
the
would just
tools
say
that are
that there
available.
are other people.
We
there
use the
were
tools that
other-
are available to try to influence policy. They are imperfect, and there are ways in which we have been able to show tangible results and more that we want to do, and that is why we continue to stay
Okay,
engaged.
but there are others who would say that you have a multitude of billions of things that you could use to,
I'm aware.
yeah, exactly. So, and you haven't used those. That
As
correct?
always, when we look at all of the tools in our at our disposal, we have to look at the upsides of using them, and we have to look at the downsides in making those determinations.
So,
Yeah,
but
correct.
the answer is no.
It is
You
not a
haven't.
determination we have made at this point.
No, no,
We did.
But have you gone to the Israelis and said, look, if you don't, do what we think you should do, or, at least take our position into account, there will be some kind of tangible consequence other than the finger wagging and the president saying this is over the top. Is there any real oomph?
I am not going to get into the private conversations that we have with the government of Israel, but they are quite cclear about our positions on these matters.
Can I really follow up
No.
on this point? Can I follow on? on this
Mayor, were you done? Yeah, go ahead,
point?
Said.
Okay, if with the indulgence of my colleagues. Now, to Matt's point, the President of the United States of America went out and told the entire world, Israel's conduct is over the top. Israel's conduct is over the top. So if it's over the top, what are you willing to do to make it go under the top?
We are going to engage with them on specific areas where we expect to see improvement.
What kind of improvement? I mean, we saw yesterday that they killed 120 people, maybe a lot more. We don't know how many injured and so on, or how many among the injured will end up dying and all these things. And you're saying that this is, just what you said. You said that we've seen them bomb Rafah, all throughout. Does that make it okay? Does that make it okay when everybody, including the Secretary of State, including the President of the United States of America, including many leaders in this country, have said, you should not attack Rafah, period. Or you can attack it by air? Is that it?
We have always said that they can attack legitimate military targets, and we want to see them take every step that they can to minimize civilian casualties. As I just said, we have seen civilian casualties come down, but as you and I have discussed many times in this room, Saeed, they face a very difficult situation in that Hamas continues to hide itself among the civilian population. If this was a war being fought on a battlefield where Hamas would come out and fight, it would be a much different scenario.
Right.
Unfortunately, it is not. So Israel faces a very difficult situation. Doesn't lessen their need to do more, and that's why we continue to engage with them on this question.
But the fact is that you do have a magic wand. You have a huge, big magic wand.
I'm glad you think it's a magic wand,
It is a
Saeed.
magic wand.
I
It is a
don't think
magic
people share
wand,
that assessment.
but it's real. It's substantive.
But it is a wand.
It's a wand. I mean, we're talking about billions of dollars that are approved to make this war keep on going. While in fact, we have seen reports from the United Nations that telling you are a shake away, Matt, from starvation in Gaza. Nothing is going into Rafah. No aid. None of this is going on. I mean, there are so many things that are going on at the same time that the United States can, in fact, use its magic wand.
So, Saeed, we have used a number of levers at our disposal, and that is why humanitarian assistance is going into Rafah. In fact, your contention is not true. There were nearly 200 trucks that are going into Gaza. There are nearly 200 trucks of humanitarian assistance that went into Gaza yesterday. If we want to go back to the beginning, it is because of the intervention of the United States that humanitarian assistance is going in. We continue to call for more. When the Secretary was there last week, he raised directly with the Prime Minister that we want to see Erez crossing open so that we can continue to do more. And it is that repeated, sustained engagement that we have shown over time has delivered results, and it's why we'll continue to stay engaged.